The world of medicine doesn't stand still. From changing laws to new ways of running a practice to the growing challenges of delivering care, there's always something new on the horizon. Welcome to On Call with MSMA. Each episode, Mississippi physicians share insights on the business of medicine and the outside forces shaping how it's practiced. From marketing and management to taxes, technology, and patient access, we're covering it all. Because staying informed means staying ahead. And together, we're building a stronger voice for Mississippi medicine. This is On Call with MSMA.
All right, welcome today to the Physicians Lounge, Mississippi State Medical Association's podcast for physicians. I am Dr. Craig Moffitt, a family medicine physician and District 3 board trustee for Mississippi State Medical Association. Very excited to be here again today with Dr. Brian Hart from Callagy Recovery. He was on our last podcast, and our own Mississippi State Medical Association's own Dr. Stout, board certified anesthesiologist practicing in the Jackson area. Very excited to have both of those on board today as we discuss a little bit more about the No Surprise Act, IDR processes, what Callagy Recovery may be able to audit or offer in relation to that, and just kind of what physician offices, especially those private physician offices that may be anesthesiologists, ortho, or anyone who might be doing emergent medical care to someone who could potentially be out of network, how that might apply to their billing department and processes they have for trying to get reimbursed. Real quick, I'll just say hey to Dr. Stout and to Brian. Y'all doing good today?
Doing well.
Yeah, pleasure to be here amongst two great physicians. Heard nothing but incredible things about you, Dr. Stout and Dr. Moffitt. Thanks for hosting again.
Excellent. Real quick before we kind of get into, kind of more specifics and kind of lean more into kind of some things that Dr. Stout knows more about and Brian, that you know more about. Do you want to just really quickly, in case the audience missed the last podcast, Brian, just kind of in a 30-second summary, go over the No Surprise Act?
Yeah, sure. So No Surprise Bill Act passed 2020, really enacted in 2022. What it was meant to do and designed for is to protect patients. Let's say, God forbid, one of us got in an accident for some reason or another. We decided that today was the day we wanted to clean our gutters. Fell off the roof. In that process had a fracture in our spine. We fractured our elbow. We had lacerations all over our face, and we have to get shipped to the emergency room. The last thing that our wife, husband, children, significant others are thinking is the hospital am I going to in network, and are the people on call in network? That is not the thought process. What they're trying to do is, how do I get my husband and wife to the emergency room? How do I get them the care that they need and deserve? Not how much is this going to cost? So because of the No Surprise Bill Act, what would happen in that said scenario if we had to go through that process is we are protected as patients. What happened prior to the No Surprise Bill Act is physicians on staff, they would have the ability to balance bill the patient if they were out of network. And so it's incredible we got the care that we need, which is not incredible as if us getting slapped with a $500,000 bill. With that being said, it's also not fair to the physicians. So because of the federal and state arbitration process with the No Surprise Bill Act, it gives physicians options as well. So in the scenario we described that we got the care that we needed, the physicians have options too. So if an underpayment comes in, depending on the fate or state or federal plan, the laws, there's a process to submit an offer to negotiate. And we have typically a 30-day window to do that. And let's just say that in that 30-day window, the offer to negotiate comes in, and believe it or not, we don't come to an agreement with the insurance carrier at a reasonable rate, and we don't want to accept the number that they give us. Because the No Surprise Bill Act is there's an arbitration process that you can trigger that typically has a 4-day window after that. After that 4-day window, if you don't file, you lose the ability to go through the federal state process. But if you do it and you have a party like ours, you have an internal billing company, is after that, it's baseball style arbitration. So your insurance carrier on one side, a group like ours or your internal billing team or however the case may be on the other side representing you, the physician. At that point, there's one winner, one loser. It's not the arbitrator coming in and deciding where the rate should be. It's who's going to win, who's going to lose based on the case. In our instance, is we win 92% of the time, and 85% of our claims are paid within 6 months.
Thank you, Brian, for recapping
yeah.
the No Surprise Act for us from last part. But in summary, this was an act that was passed a few years ago for kind of care that may have been given on an emergent basis, and you were out of network, and by law, the patient is not supposed to be responsible for that, and there are means to be able to get the physician reimbursed for the time that they spent on this, where they gave their high-value care to the patient. So thank you for doing that. Dr. Stout, as an anesthesiologist in a busy practice in the Jackson, Mississippi area, I believe y'all have a pretty good practice. You have some internal services. Do you know kind of what is y'all's process or experience or anything similar? Or how do y'all do billing, or what do y'all do over there?
Yeah, I mean, Mississippi's a little bit unique in that we have such a huge portion of Blue Cross being the major private insurer in the state. And the way Blue Cross works in Mississippi is that we all are making the same rate. There's no different rates for different parts of the state. Everybody's the same, and the majority of us are in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield. But nonetheless, we do have some IDR disputes. Majority of those are non-Blue Cross Blue Shield claims. And with my current group, my billing company deals with this. But I think Brian, throwing this back to you, every dollar is important, but what percentage of these claims actually go through the IDR process?
Great question, Dr. Stout. It's, as you mentioned, it's really variable based on state, physician, which carriers they're in network. And for clarity and I don't think I spoke into this specifically in the original description, is the No Surprise Bill Act was designed for when emergent claims or ancillary providers like an anesthesiologist are performing procedures, that they themselves are out of network with the insurance carrier and the facility itself is in network. So it's going to vary based on the individual provider, individual state, who they're in network, who they're out of network. What I can tell you, Dr. Stout, and you likely affirm this based on your experience with the IDR process, is it doesn't take a lot of claims in order to have a meaningful financial impact. On average, the physicians that we work with, based on 4 to 6 claims a month, the average is we're putting an additional $127,000 a month in their pockets. It can be a fruitful process. But from our standpoint, creating awareness about the federal process and state process, if there is one in the states that we're discussing, not with Mississippi, believe it or not, most physicians are not fully aware of what it is. And our job is to create educational support around it so more physicians know.
Just as a point of clarification, you the 126,000 per month from 4 or 5 claims, that's across all specialties. I was about to say, if you're getting that from 4 or 5 anesthesia claims, man, sign me up with you, because we're doing something majorly wrong, because 4 or 5 claims from anesthesia might get you $4,000.
Yeah. So anesthesia is thank you for that clarification, Dr. Stout. That is across all of our disciplines. Average level of reimbursement for physicians that work with us, including neurosurgeons, orthosurgeons, plastics, anesthesia, emergency, intraoperative monitoring companies, all the stuff combined equates to that dollar amount. Anesthesia is a smaller dollar amount per claim, but higher volume claims, so they typically submit more. Anesthesiologists actually comprise the third biggest client that we have within Callagy Recovery in terms of collections.
Is that regional as far as like where you see the most? I mean, I know that's a little bit of a hard question to answer, but I guess what I'm asking is, are there particular areas that have more claims? I know you said New Jersey was very similar to Mississippi in that it has a huge Blue Cross presence. So like with New Jersey, do you guys have a lot of IDR claims?
Yes. Even with Blue Cross, right? So this is where options and things to consider as physicians matter, right? Because just because we're in network, right? I guess a question for you, Dr. Stout, is, are you happy with your in-network rates?
I mean, we're never happy. We always want more.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
figured you were going to answer. I was going to say, you don't want more money? No. I mean, what we're looking for is like to have physicians be fairly compensated. Sometimes a side effect of a state, let's just say like Mississippi, where everyone being a network, right? That creates a lot of power for the carrier itself, like less so for the physicians and indirectly the patients itself is. And we're not saying that everyone should go out of network. I mean, for clarity, transparency, that's not my recommendation. That's a more global decision for a practice based on who's in your clinics, like what's the prevalence of the different carriers, like a whole larger conversation. But what we do say is a lot of times it's worth considering looking if you're unfamiliar with the IDR process as physicians, taking a look at the carriers that you're not doing a lot of work with, that you're in network with, and consider dropping out with them. Because again, Dr. Stout, it doesn't take a lot of claims to go through the federal and state arbitration process. Here, the federal process in Mississippi, to potentially have a meaningful amount of income come from it. And then from then, have considerations and options to think about how does this impact my practice as a whole? If I were to drop out of network, does this make sense for the global practice? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. In New Jersey, I can speak specifically, is there's a lot of Blue Cross plans that still have very favorable out-of-network benefits. So New York, New Jersey, two of the highest filing IDR states. And a lot of that's actually just because of the awareness of it. It's the plans itself, like again, similar to Mississippi, is Blue Cross Blue Shield is the predominant insurer of the state. But even with that, there's variances of what the out-of-network benefits look like. And I don't specifically know those answers in Mississippi. You would know way better than I would. But even if I'm doing verifications in my company, I'm always verifying the in and out-of-network benefits.
So just for the audience, when you enter into the IDR process, you guys, I think yours was 92% or something like that,
Yep.
win percentage. Where if you lose, what kind of financial hit is it to the practice that uses you?
0%, $0. Like, so you're aware of the process. It's typically about $1,000 to file for a claim. We front all those filing costs. So it's a very asymmetric risk. So 92% of the time is our run rate. And Dr. Stout, that's on purpose. Because if we won 100% of the time, it would mean that our ask wasn't high enough. So we know the different arbitrating bodies. We know who's who in terms of the plan, who to go to, where we should fall based on all the data we have by having clients in all 50 states, by helping recover over $100 million in the month of December alone for physicians through NSA arbitration process, being on pace to recover $1.2 billion in 2026 alone. And that's incredible. We're super happy with that. But what we're not happy about is estimated right now, after going to Washington last spring, like we do multiple times a year. And in that conversation, Washington let us know that it's estimated right now, approximately 90% of eligible NSA-related claims are still not being filed. And that dollar amount equates to $500 billion a year.
And also, just for the audience, and that 500 billion goes into whose pocket?
The carriers. Yes. The carriers keep all that money, and it is not in the physician's process. The pocket is not in the systems process. It is in the carrier's pocket still, which is exactly how they want it.
Would you mind sharing like what, and if this is not something that's okay to share on the podcast, totally
Yeah.
reasonable, but I'm just curious what percentage, let's say you guys recoup $100,000, what percentage of that would you guys keep as payment?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're doing the work, you've got to be paid. I'm just curious what that percentage is.
20%.
20%. Okay, so if
20.
you recoup 100, you guys keep 20. The other 80,000 goes back to the group.
Yep, correct. And I mean, just for clarity, is we only win when you win, right? Like that original underpayment that came in, we don't participate in any of that. The only thing is we participate on the upside. So we front the filing fees, right? So in the event that we win the arbitration, which we do 92% of the time, is we take the filing fees out of that, right? And then we take 20%. But in the event that we lose, like that 8%, that cost is on us. Like working with the physicians in the state of Mississippi and all the other states we work with, there's zero risk in terms of dollar amount, right? And as an anesthesiologist, you yourself, as you mentioned, you're doing a lot of claims. So that dollar amount of filing can really add up quickly.
So here's another question for you. So, been in practice 11 years. I've worked in two groups, both big groups, double-digit docs, and
Yeah.
5 times that in CRNAs. Big billing company. Do you guys work well with existing billing companies? So say somebody comes from a big group that's got a good billing company that you review your quarterly reports, you're very happy, and then you say, I want to bring these guys on board to do, or at least look at our IDR process and that sort of. Do you guys work pretty
Yeah.
closely with billing companies?
Revenue cycle management companies. What we are not is a revenue cycle management company. So, Dr. Stout, we consistently work alongside revenue cycle management companies, supporting them in their endeavors. Bigger groups, sometimes the administrative burden and making sure the timelines are going through. Like, because again, if you miss the timeline, you miss the timeline. It's not like a ERISA-based plan where you have a certain amount of time to file and then appeal. Like, that's not this. It's either you've hit the deadline or you're not. Is a lot of times billing companies, excuse me, internal RCM companies, billing companies, completely and utterly overwhelmed by everything happening, and they're not even aware that they could have support. And to answer your question directly is yes, we work alongside. We're not there to replace billing companies. We're there to support them, make their lives easier.
And if a group's billing partner says, yeah, this sounds good. Again, it would just be that 20% of the recovered money would come to you. There is no fee for the billing company. So there is no risk. There's zero risk to the billing company that may be doing work with a group.
Yeah, if anything, we add more to their bottom line because their percentages. Yeah. So, like, to answer your question, is each individual RCM company is a little different in how they structure things with RDR. So I'm not going to speak into the specifics of how they would work it internally, but it doesn't have anything to do because we're a separate body that's doing the arbitration on your behalf.
So Brian, so how would let's say you've got your large groups, maybe you've got like a independent ortho group that's only got 2 or 3 doctors in it. So how is a doctor or group going to start evaluating if it might be worthwhile to try and do more audits of this IDR process, or to kind of to figure out when they might want to consider bringing in a team to look at their stuff? Like, how does a doctor decide that?
Great question, Dr. Moffitt. I think you have a few options. Is you could either bury your head in the sand and pretend there's not a potential issue, right? And that's for regular billing as well. Or you can make the decision to see what else is there out there that might be able to put more money in my practice's pocket so I can continue to provide the care that patients deserve. So, I mean, the long and short of it is, the question is, the answer to the question is, if you're not happy with your current level of reimbursement, it's worth having a conversation to see if there are options, to see if the claims that you're doing as a practice could potentially qualify for the NSA.
And then for the audience and clarification purposes, for instance, like with Callagy Recovery, there is no fees for audits or anything like that. Y'all would come in, and as long as you got the correct information and legal documents obtained and everything, y'all would be able to review that independently, and there'll be no charge for if y'all came back to him and was like, hey man, y'all have nothing that we can do for y'all, there's no charge for that physician.
Correct. Is all we would need on our end is to have a BAA signed, so we could have access to a certain level of EOBs or 835s, 837s to identify potential IDR claims. And then, so you can compare, contrast to like what you're currently doing to see if it makes sense to consider, to see if your claims qualify. So we would need the EOBs. We typically do a 60-day sweep of EOBs to review what's actually there versus not there, to see if you guys, the practice itself, are good candidates. So, I mean, to one layer further, there's absolutely nothing to lose by us doing a sweep of EOBs. Zero cost, only positive things happen, right? Like, let's just say in a practice that's already doing IDR, one of two things happen. You either identify money that could be in your pockets that's not. The secondary side effect is you can find that your current group or internal billing group is doing an incredible job and nothing else should be done. So it either gives you peace of mind, or it gives you an opportunity to see that maybe there's a way to do things a little more efficiently.
Brian, in your experience working with physician groups, those who maybe have a third-party billing company, so they don't do it internally, they have a contract with a third-party billing company, are they typically introducing you to the billing company who then works with you? Because, I mean, obviously you want everything cohesive, so kind of how's that process work?
Yeah. Again, we're working alongside RCM companies. We are not replacing RCM companies. And for the most part, Dr. Stout, correct me if I'm wrong with your experience, is most RCM companies are typically not doing IDR process. Some of them are, and nothing against them if they are, is we are a arbitration company. We are not dabbling in arbitration. This is what we do. We like to say it's like if you guys flew up to New Jersey, New York, and you guys came to visit us and said you wanted some pizza. I'm like, great, I have the perfect place to go. And then I say, we're going to go to the Olive Garden. And you guys are like, what are you talking about? Like, they have incredible breadsticks, but that's not where I want to go for the pizza. Take me to a really good pizza joint in New York or New Jersey. So we would equate to ourselves as the really good pizza joint in NSA. And that's where we hang our head on.
Just for my own education, does so the 20%, somebody's looking into this, I think from awareness, we all should be aware of this. This
Yeah.
is huge. There's a lot of money out there. But just from an educational standpoint, if somebody were to look this up and to look up your company versus two or three other companies, are you all about 20%? Why would they, or why should they pick your company over a handful of others?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Stout. And to answer the question directly, is we have been industry leaders in the space since the beginning. We are in the top 15 filing arbitrators in the United States. Sean Callagy, founder of Callagy Law, founded 28 years ago. He made his mark he's actually a blind attorney from New Jersey, is doing incredible things in the world, incredible story in so many different capacities. He made his mark in healthcare in recovery, but this was before the No Surprise Bill Act, right? When he for the last 28 years, and it was mainly in PIP and workers' comp, those avenues, not NSA related recovery. So large industry experience in the space. This is Callagy Recovery, for context, is not a law firm. Callagy Recovery is a specific arbitration company, and top 15 filers in the United States. We have clients in all 50 states. The amount of claims that we're filing on a monthly basis gives us a lot of expertise and the opportunity to learn from each individual claim, understand the arbitrating bodies, understanding how and when and how much we should ask for the different ones, and have a high level of expertise and certainty that we're going to recover money that should be in your pockets, and evidenced by the 92% of the time. In terms of the cost, comparatively speaking to other industry groups, this is where the groups tend to fall. And the question is, if a group is charging half that, is why, right? The question is, why are they dabbling? How are they doing it? What are the results, right? Like if they're charging less and they're winning 92% of the time and they're getting paid 85% of the time within 6 months, then cool, go with the company that's charging less. Our experience that's not the case, Dr. Stout.
And
In addition,
go ahead.
Yeah. In addition to that, this is a lot more than dollars and cents to us. This is about impact. It's to create education and educational opportunities to provide value to physicians and healthcare systems throughout the United States, because it's not a fair fight. So part of our contingency fee, guys, is not, we take a portion of our contingency fee and take a percentage of it and fund it towards our nonprofit that we're creating, the Callagy Institute for Doctorpreneurs, to fund initiatives for the future, for political advocacy, to create options for physicians, for awareness, education. We are not just in this for dollars and cents. Yes, we want to make a profit, but we really want to provide impact for physicians and healthcare systems so they have options as time goes on, and understand that everyone's not out to get them. I would say the insurance companies are. We do not fall in that camp. We fall on the physician side.
So two things quick. First is after hearing y'all's company a few months ago, I did look up Sean Callagy, and he's got a podcast that he's had Matt Casson and all kinds of crazy people on. So, and he is blind and has a very motivational story that's kind of outside the business scope, but it is kind of interesting. Yeah. But for our audience, as MSMA podcast, so Callagy Recovery is kind of in our little partner group of several companies that we do partner with. There's some others we partner with as well. So obviously, we're not going to share physician information, inappropriately, but you could probably contact MSMA, and if a physician group has worked with them and is open to discussing their experience with you, MSMA might help facilitate that. Obviously, as long as the other physician group would be happy to speak with your group. but that is something MSMA could potentially help facilitate if needed, just for the audience.
Yeah, Dr. Moffitt, thank you for that. And we are here to serve this Physicians of Mississippi. Mississippi State Medical Association is definitely close to our hearts. You guys were our first, right? So partnering with the Mississippi State Medical Association when on Dr. Claude Brunson's last day as executive director, and since I've been working with Natalie, who's been doing an incredible job for the physicians in the state of Mississippi to create options and opportunities and awareness around this subject matter. And since we've partnered with you guys, we have partnered with state level associations all throughout the United States, national level associations, subspecialty associations. We're going to be speaking at the Interim AMA conference in June in Chicago. So if you're going to be there, we look forward to meeting you in person.
That's awesome. I think that I think we learned a lot today. I know I did. As a family medicine physician, I'm more serving as a moderator. I don't do a whole lot of acute cases on people that are out of network. But I think this is very important to a lot of our independent practice physicians, even our employed physicians to some degree. I mean, their company is going to be doing a lot of it on their behalf, but their company may be having some stuff left on the table. But especially our physicians that are in small, large, medium-sized groups and independent, whether or not they change the billing cycle, just being aware of it and kind of understanding the process, I think is incredibly important. Dr. Stout, Dr. Hart, y'all have anything else to add that may be informational to our audience today?
Dr. Hart, I was going to tell you, man, you seem to really know this material in and out, and appreciate your time. I do think, the big takeaway points are that there is a ton of money out there that not just for anesthesia, but really for all medical fields that, you can recover a good bit of this. And sounds like you guys have a good thing going, and seems like there's, willingness to work with groups, even if, you're really unfamiliar with this. It sounds like you'll walk groups through the process. And we appreciate your time and appreciate your support of MSMA.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you, Dr. Stout. And we're here to serve the physicians and MSMA as a whole. So if anyone does have interest, any of the people in the physicians in the state, healthcare systems, for us to do a complimentary audit, we are here, not out of pressure, but out of service to you guys, and happy to always do a clean sweep to see if we can help your practice, and also just be here for resource. If anyone and MSA members want to pick up the phone and call us directly just to answer questions, we're happy to do it. I've done it with other physicians in Mississippi and other states, and we're thankful for Mississippi, thankful for the trust, and really here for impact for the state and beyond.
We appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks for joining us on Call with MSMA. If you're a physician in Mississippi, you're part of something bigger, a community of over 5,000 doctors dedicated to improving care and protecting the future of medicine in our state. To learn more, visit msmaonline.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more conversations about the business, the challenges, and the future of medicine here on Call with MSMA.